Stan Lee, the architect of the Marvel Universe. Early life and childhood. Stan Lee, born Stanley Martin Lieber on December 28, 1922, in New York City, grew up in a working-class Jewish family. His parents, Celia and Jack Lieber, were Romanian immigrants who struggled to make ends meet during the Great Depression. Stan's childhood was marked by financial hardships, and his family lived in a small apartment where he shared a room with his younger brother, Larry Lieber. Despite these challenges, young Stan was an avid reader, consuming books by Shakespeare, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Mark Twain. He also had a passion for movies, particularly those starring Errol Flynn, which fueled his love for storytelling. As a student at DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx, Stan developed a knack for writing and dreamt of one day becoming a novelist. His early influences included pulp magazines and action-packed adventure stories, and he even won writing competitions. However, the need to support his family took precedence over his literary ambitions. After high school, he took various odd jobs, including writing obituaries and press releases. However, fate had something greater in store for him. At the age of 17, through a connection from his uncle, he landed a job as an assistant at Timely Comics, which would later evolve into Marvel Comics. This opportunity would set him on a path that would forever change the comic book industry and popular culture. Entry into comics industry. Stan Lee's entry into the comic book world came unexpectedly. In 1939, his uncle, Robbie Solomon, helped him secure a job at Timely Comics, which was run by Martin Goodman. Initially, Stan's job was far from glamorous. He started as an office assistant, performing mundane tasks such as refilling ink wells, proofreading, and erasing pencil marks from finished pages. Though it was humble work, Stan was eager to prove himself and saw it as a stepping stone to a bigger writing career. His first real opportunity to write came in 1941 when he was given the chance to script a 2-page filler story in Captain America Comics No. 3. Wanting to keep his real name reserved for serious literary pursuits, he adopted the pen name Stan Lee. Little did he know that this pseudonym would become one of the most recognized names in the comic book industry. The story, Captain America Foils the Traitor's Revenge, introduced a now iconic trope, Captain America using his shield as a throwing weapon. Stan's talent didn't go unnoticed, and he quickly climbed the ranks. By the time he was 19, he was promoted to interim editor following the departure of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. With this new role, he took on more responsibilities, overseeing the publication's creative direction. His fresh ideas and enthusiasm helped Timely Comics grow, and during the 1940s, he wrote various stories in different genres, including romance, horror, and westerns. However, the golden age of superheroes was fading, and the comic industry was about to enter a period of decline before its resurgence. The birth of Marvel Comics. By the late 1950s, superheroes had fallen out of fashion, and Timely Comics had rebranded itself as Atlas Comics, focusing on genres like romance, monster stories, and sci-fi. However, the industry was struggling. Then, in 1961, everything changed. Stan Lee, who had grown frustrated with his career and was considering leaving comics altogether, was encouraged by his wife, Joan, to take a creative risk. She urged him to write the kind of stories he truly wanted to tell, rather than just following editorial mandates. Around the same time, DC Comics had found success by reviving superhero teams with Justice League of America, prompting publisher Martin Goodman to demand a similar response from his company. Instead of creating another perfect superhero team, Stan introduced flawed and humanized characters, the Fantastic Four. Alongside artist Jack Kirby, he crafted a story that focused on interpersonal relationships and emotional depth, setting it apart from traditional hero narratives. The Fantastic Four debuted in Fantastic Four No. 1 in 1961 and became an instant success. This marked the beginning of what would become Marvel Comics. Over the next few years, Stan co-created some of the most iconic superheroes of all time, including Spider-Man, the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and the X-Men. Unlike the godlike figures of DC Comics, Marvel's heroes had relatable struggles, dealing with personal issues alongside their heroic duties. This innovative approach revolutionized the comic book industry and made Marvel a dominant force in popular culture. The Marvel Method. Stan Lee's creative process was unique. Due to the high volume of comics he was writing, he developed a system that became known as the Marvel Method. Rather than scripting full stories in detail, Stan would provide his artists, like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, with loose plot outlines. The artists would then illustrate the pages, often adding their own storytelling elements and panel compositions. Once the artwork was completed, Stan would return to write the dialogue and captions, shaping the final narrative. This method allowed for faster production and gave artists more creative freedom. It also fostered dynamic storytelling, as visual elements and text complemented each other in a fluid way. While it led to some disputes over creative credit, it became Marvel's signature approach and was instrumental in its success. The Marvel Method contributed to the development of some of the most beloved characters and story arcs in comic book history. By trusting artists to expand on his plots, Stan was able to oversee multiple storylines at once, fueling Marvel's rapid expansion. His ability to craft witty and engaging dialogue further defined Marvel's distinct voice, making heroes feel more human and relatable. This collaborative process cemented Marvel's reputation for producing character-driven, compelling stories that stood out from its competitors. It was a defining factor in Marvel's golden era, allowing it to surpass DC Comics in popularity by the late 1960s. Expansion and success of Marvel. With the success of the Fantastic Four, Marvel Comics entered a new golden age. Stan Lee's storytelling approach, focusing on realism, emotional depth, and interconnected narratives, attracted a massive fanbase. He continued to introduce new characters who resonated with readers. Spider-Man, introduced in Amazing Fantasy number 15 in 1962, became Marvel's most popular hero. Unlike traditional superheroes, Peter Parker was a teenager dealing with real-life struggles, including school, finances, and personal loss. The X-Men, introduced in 1963, reflected social issues, with their stories often paralleling the civil rights movement. Stan's approach to world-building was another game-changer. Unlike DC Comics, where each superhero existed in their own separate universe, Marvel's characters frequently crossed over. Spider-Man could meet the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers could battle villains from different storylines. This interconnected storytelling created a sense of continuity that captivated fans. By the end of the 1960s, Marvel had surpassed DC Comics in sales. Stan became a pop culture icon, frequently appearing at conventions and television interviews to discuss Marvel's growing influence. His vision and storytelling turned Marvel into an entertainment powerhouse that would eventually dominate Hollywood. Challenges and departure from Marvel. Despite his success, Stan Lee's journey with Marvel was not without struggles. As Marvel grew into a multimedia empire, internal conflicts and financial troubles began surfacing. The comic book industry itself saw a decline in sales during the late 20th century, making it difficult to sustain the same momentum. Additionally, Stan Lee's role at Marvel evolved from being an active writer and editor to more of a figurehead, which left him feeling disconnected from the creative process. In 1998, after nearly 6 decades with Marvel, Stan Lee officially stepped away from the company. Though he remained an honorary chairman, he focused on new ventures, including Stan Lee Media, an ambitious but ultimately failed attempt to create an online multimedia studio. The company collapsed amid legal and financial troubles, leaving Lee in a difficult position. Despite this setback, Stan Lee's passion for storytelling never faded. He continued working on projects outside of Marvel, proving that his creative spirit could not be contained by corporate disputes. His departure from Marvel marked the end of an era, but it was far from the end of his influence on popular culture. Hollywood and cameo appearances. As Marvel stories began expanding beyond comic books and into film and television, Stan Lee's presence in Hollywood became more prominent. In the early 2000s, Marvel superheroes began dominating the big screen, starting with X-Men, 2000, and Spider-Man, 2002. Lee, always embracing the spotlight, found himself making memorable cameo appearances in nearly every major Marvel film. From a bystander in Spider-Man to a security guard in Hulk, 2003, his cameos became an Easter egg that fans eagerly anticipated. As the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, took shape under Marvel Studios, Stan Lee's appearances grew even more iconic. He played a delivery man in Captain America, Civil War, a Watcher informant in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and even an intergalactic barber in Thor, Ragnarok. Beyond his cameos, Lee also worked behind the scenes in Hollywood. He was an executive producer for numerous Marvel films and shows, and his influence ensured that the spirit of Marvel Comics was faithfully translated to the big screen. His humor and enthusiasm made him a beloved presence among actors, directors, and fans alike. Stan Lee's Hollywood legacy was more than just a series of brief appearances, it was a testament to his lasting imprint on pop culture. His presence in films was a reminder that Marvel's success stemmed from the mind of a storyteller who believed in the power of heroes. Each cameo felt like a heartfelt tribute to the man who made the Marvel Universe possible. Legacy and influence. Stan Lee's contributions to the world of comics and entertainment are unparalleled. He revolutionized storytelling by creating characters who were flawed yet relatable, heroes who struggled with personal dilemmas while saving the world. This humanization of superheroes made Marvel Comics stand out and changed the industry forever. Beyond the pages of comic books, Lee's influence extended into Hollywood, gaming, literature, and even education. His characters became symbols of hope, diversity, and perseverance. Black Panther, the first black superhero in mainstream comics, inspired generations, while the X-Men became an allegory for social justice and discrimination. His stories were more than just entertainment, they carried deep messages about humanity. Stan Lee also played a significant role in nurturing new talent. He encouraged young writers, artists, and filmmakers to push creative boundaries and tell unique stories. His famous catchphrase, Excelsior, became a motto for aspiring creators, a call to keep striving for greatness. Stan Lee didn't just create superheroes, he inspired people to believe that anyone could be a hero. His stories live on, proving that the Marvel Universe, and his influence, will never fade. Final years and passing. In his later years, Stan Lee remained an active figure in pop culture. He continued making cameo appearances in Marvel films, attending comic conventions, and engaging with fans who adored him. Despite his advancing age, he never lost his enthusiasm for storytelling. However, his final years were also marked by personal struggles. After the passing of his beloved wife, Joan, in 2017, Lee faced legal battles, financial exploitation, and health issues. Reports emerged of individuals attempting to take advantage of his wealth and legacy, sparking concern among fans and the entertainment industry. Despite these difficulties, Lee remained resilient, appearing in interviews and expressing his love for his creations and fans. His final cameo appearance was in Avengers, Endgame, 2019, a fitting farewell in the biggest superhero movie of all time. Though he was gone, his presence was still felt in every Marvel story, every heroic moment on screen, and every fan who grew up believing in the power of imagination. Stan Lee may have left this world, but his dream, the Marvel Universe, continues to inspire generations. His stories remind us that heroes are not just in comics, they exist in all of us.